Unscripted.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another edition of PD and P-Dubs Unscripted. It's good to be back in the podcast studio and joined by P-Dubs himself, the man, the myth, the legend.
Yeah, the myth. Where have I been? Golly, where we've been.
Where we've been.
Yeah.
I think the last one we had was with Joe.
And I think we got swallowed up by the summer and the camps and
vacations, and that's what's going to be swallowing us up coming up.
And it's like we just emerged out of all of our VBS and Shining Stars and a little time off here, 4th of July parade and community meal, feed my starving children.
I'm just trying to figure out, where did the summer go? Like, it's July 15th as we're recording this right now. It doesn't feel like school was ended almost 2 months ago when you think about it, at least here at Emmanuel.
I suppose so, yeah. I mean, here it's the All-Star game tonight, and wow.
Yeah, after that, I don't know. I know I was complaining to you earlier about just the feed for the home run derby. Do not like the split screen.
Yeah. Well, it was not the best production.
Give me a roided out Sammy Sosa, early 2000s home run derby presentation.
Yeah. Well, and you brought up Chris Bergman. You know, all the announcers used to say, all that he would say, back.
Gone.
And now you got, he hit that with a launch angle of so many degrees and an exit velo of 108 and the distance of 486, and
I'm like, does it matter?
Yeah, just say it's gone.
I mean, that one dude, I forgot who.
Or he crushed it.
Well, the one dude hit it, 513?
Yeah, it was out of the stadium.
Was that Cruz?
O'Neal Cruz, yeah. It was in right center.
That's a bomb.
Ooh-wee. But be that as it may, it was it's good to be back in the house of PD and P-Dubs Unscripted, and we're preparing for one more thing for your summer.
Yeah, one big
loaded
thing
with activities.
Yeah, so we have our upcoming this Friday. We'll be leaving on July 18th. If you listen to this later, July 18th, we're leaving for the National Youth Gathering, which is something our LCMS, the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod, puts on every 3 years, where it's a gathering for 14 to 19-year-olds, and it's usually in the 20,000 range, 20,000 people. I've seen, I think, anywhere between 20 to 25,000. Mm-hmm. This year, I think the number might be a hair under 20,000, what I saw.
Okay.
But still, it's an amazing experience when you have that many kids descending upon one city, and you kind of just take over the city when it comes to this.
I'll bet. I mean, just, for those students to be in like a place like the Superdome or any big venue like that with people of your age has got to be just incredible.
Right, because I think to me, what I always point out to the kids, I'm like, this shows that you're not alone, because maybe, when you're at school, especially if you go to public school, you might think, am I the only Christian here? Mm-hmm. Or maybe there's Christian, but are you the only Lutheran, if you want to break it down that far. But here, 99% probably, I would say, are Lutheran at the NYG, because there are times where people bring friends that maybe aren't Lutherans, or maybe even Christians at that. Mm-hmm. And so, to see that you're not alone is something truly awesome.
Yeah. I think of our group is 14. That's a good size.
Right.
And, but there's probably small town USA who's bringing 2, and it's just mind-blowing, if you're coming from, let's say, a major metropolitan area like our kids are in the Chicagoland area. But if you're coming from, let's say, Oklahoma, right. Small town Oklahoma, man, what a thing that has to impress you with.
Why you got to go against Oklahoma?
I don't know. You said it earlier today, and that was the first thing that came to my mind. I know you went in Bartlesville, Oklahoma. I wasn't thinking of that.
Okay, but yeah, because that's what I was thinking. Because when you're talking about that, I was thinking that was the first youth gathering it went on, was with my vicarage church in Bartlesville, Oklahoma.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I was like, yeah. And so, we drove from Bartlesville all the way to New Orleans. Wow. And, kind of making full circle, the hotel we stayed at, the Crown Plaza there in Canal and Bourbon Street in 2010, is the same hotel Emmanuel's staying at this year. So kind of a small, 15 years later, same hotel. And I think it would have just been wrapping up maybe a day or so ago based on Facebook memories. But when you're talking about the difference, because, for us, going from Chicago suburbs to New Orleans, I'm like, New Orleans feels like a small city. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's big compared to a lot, but being from here, it's small. But I remember, Bartlesville was about 40,000, I think, people. So not super small.
Yeah,
but
it's kind of like Palatine, kind of.
I think Palatine's like 70,000.
Oh, are they up to that? I thought it was like 35, 40, but you're probably right.
But so it was one of those, but it's still a little more country, obviously. Okay, it says 64,000 when I Googled it.
You're closer.
64, almost 65, 64,869. But that idea of like Oklahoma kids going to New Orleans, like I remember one of our kids like walking in the street on his phone. I'm like, dude, you got to get off your phone. Like, we're not across the streets in Bartlesville where you don't got to worry about as much traffic. But I also think about, like, we ran into my buddy Matt, who was doing his vicarage at the time in the Bronx, and we ran into them happily in the street. I was like, what a connection here. Kids from Oklahoma meeting kids from the Bronx, talking about two, in a sense, different cultures, interacting with one another. And so you see that.
And that's half of the fun, too, is, like, getting to know people from various areas around the United States. And it seems like kids... well, I can't say every one of them, but many of them probably are open to meeting new people and like, sharing contact information or whatever. Maybe you're doing some shared activities and you get along with somebody and all that can happen.
Like, I don't know, because I know you went, in the 80s, right?
Yeah, I went in 1980.
Okay, so like, I know like the first one I went to in 2010 with my vicarage church, like I remember in the mass worship events, which was then too obviously in the Superdome, they were hitting beach balls around, and kids were putting their cell phone numbers on those beach balls.
Oh, wow.
So it's like, you don't even know who's going to get it, because you don't know where that thing's going with inside the stadium.
Yeah.
And I remember one of the parents like texting or something that night, be like, the kids are calling each other from other churches. They got I was like, don't know really what.
How do you
like,
stop that?
I'm not in their room, and like... They put their number out there or took that number.
Right.
Now they've kind of like limited, like we're not, you don't see the beach balls, but now it's almost like kids will put like their church on like a clothespin and try to sneak it on somebody's backpack.
Oh.
They try to like...
okay, that's fun.
And so they do that, like, and I've always kind of like, if you guys want to do it, go for it. We can get clothespins when we're there, but I'm like, I don't know. To me, I'm like, I'm not going to like, guys, we got to do this if they don't want to do it.
Yeah.
But that's where you see that. And even that, like at times you've seen kids like, put maybe their Snapchat name now on the clothespins. Or like I remember one of my kids, I think in Salem, he was trying to get, and you see other kids do this, have like get somebody from every state to sign their backpack. So you see kids being like, "What state are you from?" "Oh, I already got that."
Yeah, and
going that, and
that's cool.
Yeah, another thing. It's a very friendly atmosphere. Like I was wondering how it's going to be in 2022. The first one after COVID, because you would see like people having signs like high five, it was just high fives or free hugs, and people just hugging people. I think one kid was like counting like, I've hugged 900 people today. It's like, it's a lot of people inside your bubble, person.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no kidding.
So like, and they even had, people were still doing that in 2022, even after COVID, because like that one, like I said, was pretty fresh off COVID. So I was wondering how that was going to be. But it's, to some people, that is probably something they're not used to. You don't used to seeing people just walking on a sign on cardboards, free hugs, free hugs.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure.
I doubt they did any of that in 1980.
I don't remember the free hug thing, but you never know. And like, as we've shared before, in 1980, it was not as big in terms of total. I think we probably had maybe 4,000 or 5,000. I mean, I think. But we were in Colorado, and Fort Collins, Colorado, and I think it was Colorado State University we were at. And, there was many activities we could engage with, like just fun stuff, games, and, but yeah, they had the mass event things, and we were in the basketball arena of that, and that was packed. And at that point, I thought, man, this is the biggest, indoor thing I've ever attended at that time in my life.
Right.
So even at that, not 20,000, had a big impact. And I do remember like just the overall joyful atmosphere and people saying hi, getting to know each other, that kind of thing.
Right.
And groups just, freely enjoying games with each other, that kind of stuff.
Right. Because they still have some of that. They have the similar, because like, and I don't know, they change it every year. I feel like that one area, like, I don't know why, the one that sticks out to me, one year they called it the Spectacle. So, it's always in a convention center. So just for a little history for everybody who's maybe listening doesn't know, like, so this will be my 5th National Youth Gathering, my 3rd time in New Orleans, because I went with Redeemer, my vicarage church in Bartlesville, went with Emmanuel for the first time in 2016, and now again this year to New Orleans. Then in 2013 was Salem. I went to San Antonio with Emmanuel. The second time in 2019 was Minneapolis. This last time with Emmanuel in 2022 in Houston. So like so they always have it like, convention center and then whatever stadium. And like in the convention center, that's where they have all the breakout session with hundreds of different topics.
Yeah.
And then it's like the spectacle, whatever they want to call it, changes where there's different, like all the booths that they have there, like all the districts in the LCMS, like Northern Illinois District will have a booth.
Yeah.
Or like the different Concordias in our undergrad system or the 2 seminaries, because I think there was a picture I sent you last year when we were all wearing the Concordia seminary hat, sending it back to you.
Right.
And like, that's always my joke is I'm like, I bet you will really, in a sense, don't have to pack all that much shirts because you could almost get a free shirt
every day
from like some vendor or whatever, because they do give out free swag. And then, they do have different activities there. They do have like basketball. I know last time in Houston, our kids were playing volleyball. I remember one year they had like the big bubbles to play soccer and where you're in those big bubbles. I know like one year, they had the American Gladiator jousting. I remember going with Vicarage, one of the girls that was like just got confirmed. We were jousting up there. And I think one year, because I had a video and I think it just came up on my Facebook, it was doing like sled hockey, but not on ice. So I did where I was going through like that and then shooting because my nephew does sled hockey.
Cool.
I think one year they had like ride your bike wearing drunk goggles so you could kind of see, okay, being drunk, you shouldn't be driving.
Yeah.
And then even within there is like different like maybe mini service projects. I think in Minneapolis we made some of the mats with the plastic bags. Last year I remember, or last time in Houston, one of our kids, they had a pottery wheel so you could make pottery with the clay and all that. So they have a whole lot of different things because like the districts, the Concordias, different organizations.
Yeah, they're all loading up with all the goods.
And that way, especially for the Concordias, it's like, ooh, we can solicit emails for future students possibly.
Yeah, the games, I remember one particular game because our group, or the group that I was with, it wasn't our entire group, got photographed playing this game, and it was on a publication in the Synod that went out afterwards. So everybody's like, hey, there's a couple of Emmanuel kids on the front page of the thing for LCMS, and the game was this big honking big ball that was like rubber and like inflated but with rubber, and it was a picture of, it was the globe, okay? So we all had to get in a circle, get on our backs with our feet up, and kick the ball and keep it going. And I don't know, that probably lasted maybe 5 minutes, and we got tired of it, but that was the picture that somebody took of us. So we were the poster people for that year.
Well, that was like, too, I remember in 2016 with Emmanuel, we were, I think it was like either on like a New Orleans police or some New Orleans like social media feed. There was a picture of like kids walking and the police, helping direct traffic. And there was a picture of Zach Strides like high-fiving the police.
I remember that. Yeah.
Where that was
I remember that.
On like a big, and not that it named him, but it's still like, hey, that's one of our kids. And it's right middle, like about to high-five the police officer.
Wow. And now that I was thinking about it, I was trying to think of like the kids who were in our group. And so 3 of us are now pastors out of that. So Brian Hetzel. And Brian Pape and myself are pastors now. So I took a little longer to figure it out, but those 2 guys were more astute and wise to, realize they're going to be a pastor early on in life. But yeah, even some, I think it was, our class was small anyway. So I think there were like 3 or 4 of us from our class. And the rest were probably the next class up, and maybe one more other. Pat Westberg's daughter was there. I remember her being there. So I think we had a pretty good group comparative to what your current group is. Maybe we had a dozen. I'm trying to think. But, we've been talking about your travel experiences even before you travel, and you're going by plane.
Right.
We drove a yellow school bus from Emmanuel all the way out to Greeley, Colorado. And let me tell you, I felt badly for the chaperones because, like, there's no room to maneuver inside of a school bus.
No.
It was hot. It was long.
And there's no TV screens on the, it's not like a coach bus.
Nothing, man. So we're driving through like the Great Plains of Iowa and Nebraska cornfields, and the windows were down. There's no AC. It was in the middle of summer. And we stopped off at Concordia Seward for an overnight. And I think we just did that stop, and then we kept going and we made it. But it was a long, long ride. And then we had to make it all the way back. So, yeah, it was something.
Man, and so as you were talking there, it just dawned on me, I never set up my phone to make a video of this.
Well.
And it's funny because there's been times where I'm like, I was about to say, you can watch my motions on the video. And then I'm like, there's no video.
No video.
That's what happens when we haven't recorded.
We're going retro.
We haven't recorded for a while, so I forgot all the little steps of what I do. But, you talk about that travel, and I'm like, thinking like I've thought about on like our 8th grade mission trips, taking the bus to West Virginia. At least there, it's always been a coach bus, and I think that first year in 2016, how we were watching movies together on the bus on the screens. But now it's become so individualized where you can watch on your phone, or if you bring a tablet.
Yep.
Where it's just like, that's probably what's going to happen on the plane is either kids are going to put on their AirPods or headphones.
Yep.
And listen to music or maybe watch something.
We did that's when Walkman first came out. So we had our Walkman. And then I had my Mattel football game, the handheld football game. Oh,
nice.
So I played the daylights out of that thing. And I'm sure we had other hand games, but I do remember one of the adults, Dar Bailey, who's now with the Lord. And she was a hoot and a half. It was like I began to see sides of adults that I hadn't seen before. You have these perceptions of how adults are, and after like however many hours that must have been 20 plus hours of being in a school bus, we all got a little kooky and crazy. So, but it was kind of neat to see that side of an adult get a little silly every now and again.
And I think that's what's the great thing about any of these types of trips, where you can kind of be a little more relaxed. I mean, you still got to make sure everybody's doing what they're supposed to, but it gives an opportunity to maybe have a more relaxed setting or discussion, or be silly and goof around.
Yeah. Yeah, when you said discussion, I remember we had a couple of really good discussions. I can't remember coming or going, probably more coming back, that I remember having on the bus, and they were good discussions about faith and things like that.
Kind of like I was sharing earlier today at Mary's house, where we had a pool party before we went this past weekend, where the kids were talking about communion in the pool, and then I kind of jumped in the conversation. We had a discussion about, like the Catholic view and the Lutheran viewpoint of communion. And so it's like, who would have thought at a pool party you dive in, and that's where it's having those kind of maybe unstructured conversations, but also those important ones.
Yeah, yeah. I know you guys get out and do service projects. I don't recall us doing a service project in the community. I do remember a day, like we had to be on campus the whole time, even like eating. There was no like going out to a restaurant kind of thing. And so everybody ate breakfast, lunch, and dinner on the campus. But there was a day or two, maybe it was just one, where your group was allowed to go into the Rockies and like go hiking and stuff. And that particular year, there was some really bad flooding off of this river called like the Big Thompson River or something. And it got a lot of coverage on the news. And where we were at was right by there. And when we went out, we weren't near the Big Thompson River, but there was a group that was hanging around there. And I remember some concern of their safety, and it took them a while because they couldn't get through the roads. The roads were impassable. And so it took them a while, and they finally came back, and everybody was fine, thankfully. But yeah, just those kind of events. And it was really great to walk through, the Rockies and things like that. I do remember one thing, when you're out in the mountains, people live in the mountains, they're kind of like free and easy and not too many people around them. Well, there was a group of people on their front porch with no clothes on, and they stood up and they were waving at our bus, and a bunch of teenagers go, they don't got any clothes on. And I remember the adults like, don't look at that, don't look at that.
So you're saying, is that the Bourbon Street of
it might be. There was a little education going on there, unfortunately.
Yeah, because like I said, we're right on Bourbon Street, and it's an interesting.
Oh yeah, you're a different side of life,
and not a good smelling street. Bourbon Street it is not fun. But he's talking about service projects, so I just pulled up what our service project is with KIP Leadership, which is a school down there. It says volunteers will help set up bulletin boards in classrooms and assist with organizing student Chromebooks.
Oh.
So I'm like, at least we sound indoor,
yeah.
hopefully air conditioned, because I remember
that's a bonus.
The year we went with Ben's group in 2016, we were handing out pamphlets to houses about mosquito control.
Oh, wow.
And so and they're like, oh, you got to make sure you wear jeans or pants. And I was like, if I would have known we were just doing that, I would have worn shorts. But I was like, I'll be I'll wear jeans.
Yeah.
And there's a picture, because I was showing Josh the other day when we were talking about it. It was some of the kids from my first church found me, and they're hugging me, and you just say, I have my face of they're in my bubble. But my whole shirt is just soaked in sweat because it was a heather gray shirt, which does not hide that very well.
No.
But from top to maybe a quarter inch at the bottom was just soaking wet. I was just
what did they just think? If you were in jeans, that it's more presentable? Is that?
I think because you don't know what you're going to be doing and getting into. So in 2010, when I went to New Orleans, we went to the lower 9th Ward, which is one of the areas hit hardest by Katrina, because I think it is the lowest part of New Orleans. And they're like, okay, you're going to be cutting down this grass that hasn't been cut since Katrina.
All right, that I could see.
So that was 5 years prior. And I mean, that grass was almost up to my shoulders. And I just remember them being okay, we're going to give the kids machetes. And we're like, okay, so-and-so.
Not a good idea.
You are not getting a machete.
Yeah.
And that kid ended up getting a bunch of fire ants biting him, getting fire ants because I think he was wearing shorts.
Oh, that's awful.
And I know it kind of rained, which is typical. And I only had one pair of shoes and they were soaking wet after that. So I was like, I got to find a shoe store nearby so I could go buy shoes. And thankfully there was a shoe store near where our hotel was.
Yeah.
And I could buy another pair of shoes.
Yeah. Things are, that's understandable because if you didn't know what your service project was, and it could be something like that, yeah, you want to dress like that. But that sounds like it was brutal.
Yeah, for this one, I'm like, I think I can get away with a pair of basketball shorts, setting up Chromebooks.
Oh, yeah. That'll be nice.
That'll be good.
See, your experience is finally paying off, and they'll see, oh, yes, Donald Antor's been to 30 NYGs, and so now
that's is that 90? If it's every 3 years, is that 90? There I am going to be 80 years old, just hobbling along. But yeah. So in I was thinking, like I said, going back to New Orleans and same hotel, I'm thinking of that experience in 2010 and this one. But I was I remember in 2010, and they kind of have changed these over the years. And I doubt they would have had this in your years, the Mass Event Plus, where there's more stuff after the mass event.
Yeah, the closest thing we came to that was no, I don't know what you mean by plus, but it was the mass event, which included worship, a speaker, and some praise band kind of thing. So yeah,
but then this was additional after that. So in 2010, it was okay, mass event. Now this hotel, they have different things. I remember the band Remedy Drive was doing a concert in one of the hotels. One, and it was all these different things, and then you're trying to well, which hotel? And okay, maybe divide and conquer. Then it was we missed it. It's full in that one, and so they've done that. And even 2013, it was the same, because I remember the hotel I was in 2013, that hotel hosted. I remember they had Minute to Win It games in there.
Oh, cool.
And now they've kind of adapted to where the Mass Event Plus, instead of trying to spread them out through different hotels where people might not be able to get in and do that, they do it at the stadium afterwards. Because I think especially because probably in 2010, 2013, Skit Guys might have been one of those in a hotel, but it's not everybody could get in. So I think 2016 they did, okay, Skit Guys are going to perform for an hour after the mass event, just stay in your seats. And now they've kind of adapted where it is 2 nights of concerts after the mass event. last time I think it was for King and Country, and I forgot the other. I know Toby Mac was one year. I think that was Minneapolis. I think Rend Collective was 2016, and then this year again it will be Flame, who's a rapper, and then the next night will be Rend Collective.
Nice. Yeah, I think back then we didn't have well-known praise band groups, so it was probably somebody local. I do remember, like you say, plus events. There was like a couple of days where they were giving hot air balloon rides.
Really? Did you do that?
Well, you had to pick a day to go, and you had to be out there like early in the morning. And the day we picked, it was bad weather, so they canceled it. So because we were watching them the day before, I'm like, man, that looks so cool, especially out in the Rockies around there.
Right.
That would be a great view, but we didn't get to do that. What else was I going to tell you about stuff? Oh, it'll come back to me. But it was a great experience. I think like in terms of like bonding with our group, that there was a lot of time for that. And I do remember, as a teen, there were times, and you've talked about this with your groups, like you're kind of working through a tough moment or a tough day emotionally, because the kids are getting confronted by matters of faith. And I do remember having some times where we kind of had to help people along, going through a tough thing, or maybe something happened that they found out about while they were there, and it was sad. So those were all like bonding opportunities, apart from all the fun and the goofing off and having good times together. Oh, I do remember what I was going to tell you. I've told you this story, I'm sure. But communications were different back then.
Right.
We didn't have cell phones. And, there were pay phones.
What's a payphone?
Yeah. So what they said was if somebody calls for you, like if your parents call, they will leave a message. There will be a message at this particular hospitality desk at your dorm. And there was a bulletin board. And whoever had a message or somebody call, your name would be on the bulletin board. And then as, say Donald Antor was up there and you came, so I'm Donald Antor, then they'd wipe it off the bulletin board. And there's names all over the place. So every day the routine was after breakfast, go up and has anybody called or come back for lunch? Anybody called? And I'm like, my sister lives in Colorado. And so we had talked before I left. She's like, yeah, well, maybe one day if I can come, I can take you out to breakfast. And I prearranged it. And it was like blessed by the leaders. Yeah, you can do that. It's a special thing. And so I was waiting to get a call from her. And every day I'd check the board and I don't see my name up there. But as the names were getting erased, there was one name that just kept not getting answered. And it said Wayne Schultz. So I'm like, oh, okay. It's not my name. So like the next day there was another, like Wayne Schultz was up there multiple times. And I'm like, I know people mess up my last name a lot. Could it be? So I went up to the desk and I said, yeah, I noticed this Wayne Schultz. Yeah, we've been looking for Wayne. And they were saying it over the PA after like the second or third day. Wayne Schultz, come to the courtesy desk. And so finally I'm like, I'm going to ask. And they said, yeah, are you Wayne Schultz? I said, no, I'm Warren Schilf. I go, who is it that's trying to call Wayne Schultz? Some lady named Carol Schultz. I'm like, oh, that's my sister.
I don't think I've heard that story.
Yeah, so it's like, that's my sister, and my name is Warren Schilf. Oh, we're so sorry. We understood it, Wayne Schultz.
I'm going to start calling you Wayne Schultz.
Yeah, Wayne Schultz. I'm the one and only. And so they give me her number. That's her number. So I call her up and she's like, where have you been? I've been calling for days. I'm like, I'm so sorry. This is what happened. And by then she couldn't come out because she was working. So it just never happened. But
oh, man.
Wayne Schultz.
Wayne Schultz.
I'll tell you.
But yeah, none of that because, like I said, we have cell phones now, and
exactly,
and we don't stay in dorms. It's hotels that the LCMS assigns us to. Hopefully, this is a much better hotel experience than last time. I don't want to be on a front name basis with Roger like I was last time. The guy at the front desk. 3 years later, I still know Roger's name.
Isn't that funny how that stays with you?
Well, I had a lot of conversations with Roger, so we were buds. He was very nice. Hopefully this time, no issues.
Yeah, hope not.
And obviously, I think another probably big difference would be like the food arrangement of like trying to get a restaurant or find time to get, spots for 17 people.
Yeah.
It's almost cutthroat sometimes, it feels like.
I'll bet. I mean, every restaurant has to be packed out where you guys are at.
That's why they love when the gathering comes, because you have 20,000 people boosting your economy with hotels, eating out. Because it's not just sit down; it's all like I remember that first time. Like people like we're out of food. Like McDonald's, we're out of food. Or Starbucks. The line for Starbucks. Thankfully, I'm not a Starbucks drinker, so I won't have to wait in that line.
Yeah, boy.
But then again, there could be now some cheats a little bit with like apps and different things where you can try to
for sure
order it online, but still it's going to be slow.
Yeah, it's world's difference. So what would that be? That would be 45 years ago, huh?
Yeah, if it was 1980.
Yeah. So like I said, I don't remember if that was the very first one or the second one. I think we've probably talked about this before years ago, but it was my one and only one, which I was set to go to the one before you came.
Oh, well, you were the one organizing. Yeah. I came in the middle of that organization.
Yeah, and so it was like it made sense for you to take the lead, and that's how that worked.
So, yes, 1980 in Fort Collins, Colorado was the first one.
All right, so I was at the first one.
Do you remember the main theme?
Oh, man. I remember, you talked about getting bags. I remember having like a burlap bag with the design on it. The theme. Oh, man. No, I don't.
Rejoice in his presence.
Rejoice. I do remember the word rejoice.
And then the central focus were the 3 articles of the Apostles' Creed.
Oh, it was glorious, let me tell you.
And the sub-themes for the days were earth, fire, water, wind.
I do remember that. I do.
Really?
Well, it's because of the big earth ball.
Oh, there you go.
And then we did have a fire event, a huge bonfire on the campus at night one night. That was amazing. And then there was this mime who would walk around the whole campus and go within the groups. And when it was time for, we'll just call it the mass event, he had this ram's horn, and he would go shofar, and he would blow the shofar. And everybody would hear it, and it's like our signal to get to. And he would be like, miming like, "Come follow me." And so there would be like groups of kids following him, and he's running around the campus, blowing the horn, gathering everybody.
Could you imagine
that was the way you got in,
like in New Orleans, just walking around the streets?
I know. Yeah. And so there was no assigned seating, and so like, If you weren't, I don't even remember us being all together. It was like our leaders was like, all right, just we'll meet you at the front doors of the thing so that we can sit together somewhere. But like it was so random, and everybody was going there. And I do remember you've talked a lot about how you do communion there. Mm-hmm. It took forever. It seemingly took forever to have everybody take communion, but it was one of the lasting impressions that I'm like, I've never seen so many people take communion, and it was powerful.
Yeah, and I don't know how they did then, but like, I mean, I can speak to like I've done it the last couple of years last couple of youth gatherings minus 2022 helps assist with communion. Where I think this year, because I'm doing it again this year, there's 150 pastors. So that's 150 teams. So there's 150 spots to take communion. Mm-hmm. All common cup. And I remember the last time when I did it for the training in Minneapolis, like, okay, guys, we got 25 minutes in which to do communion. Then they're like, actually, no, we only got 23 minutes. But it's like, with that many people, they have people stationed at every section, and it's just a well-organized.
Yeah, that takes a lot of organization.
And it is a cool experience because, there has been times like as I'm giving communion and it's somebody I maybe know from like college or something that's there with their group. I'm like, it's not a small world, but it's one of those like, wow, that's kind of cool. I haven't seen this person for years, and now I'm giving that person communion.
Yeah. I do remember there were stations that we went to, and but that's about all that I remember of it. And it was all common cup. I remember, back in 80, I don't think there was individuals yet. But it was like I remember it being like a clay cup of some kind.
Yeah, they've had
something special with
different ones every year, like different cups. So.
Yeah.
But real quick, going through the history of the LCMS gathering. So the next one in 1983 was in San Antonio. The theme was Amigos de Cristo, and you focused on the third article, the explanation from Luther on the third article.
Okay.
86 was DC, On Wings Like Eagles, so Isaiah 40. Faith, Freedom, Justice, Mercy, Hope. Then back to Colorado, but this time in Denver in 89 with Blessed is the Journey. Seasons of the Church here was the focus. 92 was the first time in New Orleans with Time for Joy based off Ecclesiastes 3. Then San Antonio again for River of Light, which probably is with the river walk there. Psalm 46:4. Then in 98 to Atlanta, Georgia in Called to Be with Romans 1:6. 2001, back to New Orleans with Higher Ground, not the Stevie Wonder song, Colossians 3:1. Then 04 was Orlando, Beyond Imagination. Orlando again in 2007 with Chosen. First one I went on, New Orleans in 2010, We Believe. San Antonio, my second youth gathering, Live Loved. And then back to New Orleans again in 2016 with In Christ Alone. 2019 in Minneapolis, Real Present God. Houston in 2022 in All Things. And this year in New Orleans, Endure, based off Hebrews 12:1-3, which says, Therefore, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us also lay aside every weight and sin which clings so closely, and let us run with endurance the race that is set before us, looking to Jesus, the founder and perfecter of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and is seated at the right hand on the throne of God. Consider him who endured from sinners such hostility against himself, so that you may not grow weary or faint-hearted.
Very cool. Yeah, what a great tradition this has been. I wanted to ask you, do you guys have something like a banner or a flag or something that represents your church that you walk in with?
Not necessarily.
They don't do that anymore?
Some churches will have something on a pole, and and that's made so people can see where their front of their group is. Okay. And sometimes you'll see people make a fat head of their pastor. Oh, okay. So it's his face. That's fun. I always joke we should just get a big fat head of you and just hold that up so people.
Hey, that way I can be there.
You can be there, and we'll know.
Yeah, I'm a big fat head.
I know in 2010 with Redeemer, somebody in the congregation made a small little banner, maybe yay big by yay big, which if you're listening, you can't see the size. So maybe 2 feet by 2.
Everybody knows yay and yay.
Yay and yay.
Yeah.
And they kind of did what was on our shirt design, which said Redeemer, and it's kind of the skyline of Bartlesville. Okay. And we would just hold that up so people knew in case you got separated, because okay. At times, especially early youth gatherings I went to, there was what they now frown upon and stop you from doing, where you hold on to the backpack in front of you in your group, so you don't get separated. But it's a fire hazard because you're blocking when you're holding on. Got you. I don't think we did anything when I was in Salem. I don't think we did anything 2016 with Emmanuel, but I know in 2019, some of our youth, they went out with one of the parents and they bought a broom and took the broom, the sweeper part off, and just the stick, and they bought a piñata of a unicorn, and we would just hold that up. Got you. And I don't think we've done anything ever since that one.
My memory is that we had a banner that said something about Emmanuel, that wherever we were seated, we would hold up when it was before everything got started. So everybody would cheer for their school or their church, I'm sorry. And then I remember at the beginning, there was one representative of each church that would process in down the main aisle with some banner or sign from your church. And that was kind of cool because you'd see all these banners and how a different creativity, and I think the youth groups made them handmade and stuff.
Yeah, so yeah, they don't do
They've
anything.
probably done.
I wonder if it would take so long.
So long, yeah.
When you have, you think 20,000 churches, how many kids is that? Or how many different churches are represented by that?
Right.
I can only imagine.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, that was a great little talk about the NYG and the history of the NYG a little bit.
Yeah, God's blessings to you and the chaperones and the kids, and can't wait to hear how God, works in that time.
Well, thank you, and for Wayne Schultz and myself, we're signing off. Everybody have a blessed day.
I better get the message. I got a phone call to make.
Okay, God's blessings.
PD and P-Dubs Unscripted.